Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Central Park, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Sarah Dolman.
Hello.
Yes, we're here to talk Central Park's first season, which concluded yesterday, Friday, the July 24th, on Apple TV+. It is a new musical comedy, adult comedy series created by Lauren Bouchard, Nora Smith, and Josh Gad. Yes, it's on Apple TV+, which you might have, even if you don't realize it. So, although I'm not thrilled with the platform, having watched a season of TV on it. But we don't need to really get into that, honestly. I want to watch the credits to see who the artists are, but it just auto skips and I can't turn it off.
Oh, mine doesn't do that.
Maybe it depends where you watch. Anyway, so we're going to be spoiler free to start here on the Central Park Season 1 podcast, because I know, at least in our community, a lot of people have not watched this show yet. So we're going to talk spoiler free for, maybe 10, 20 minutes about what we thought of the first season of Central Park, and then we'll get into spoilers for the rest of the season. I'll give a clear warning when we're about to get into that. Not really a spoiler-heavy show, though, but you might want to go in fresh without knowing about the songs and stuff. If you haven't heard us before, check out overlyanimated.com to see our discussions on a lot of different animated shows. And find all the links to subscribe and various things. Okay, though, we're going to talk Central Park's first season. It's been airing weekly for the past 10 weeks, and we've been watching. So we can start with just generally, how do you like the show? How did the season go? Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah, I overall really, really enjoyed Central Park. I wasn't sure what to expect, for this show. I had seen a little bit of Bob's Burgers, which was also created by Lauren Bouchard, but I was sort of excited with all of the cast members that they have, which we'll get into. And especially that it's a musical comedy, I think that's what really made it really special. I think that the musical element really stands out in this show. There are so many great songs. I've been listening to them nonstop over the past several weeks that the show's been out.
Oh, yeah.
And that it's centered around a family that's a really wholesome family. They all just really genuinely love and care about each other, and it's not cynical the way a lot of slightly it's not a super mature adult animated show, but it's slightly more than a kids show, I would say. I think it's PG rated, but it's still very positive and optimistic, and the characters are super fun. I had a really great time watching the show. I would recommend it.
Awesome. Is it PG? I didn't
didn't know, but then I looked on Apple TV and that's what it said.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're definitely it seems less mature than other adult comedies we've talked about on the podcast, and a lot more wholesome. I think that's a good point. But yeah, again, maybe it isn't even. Maybe it's centered at adults, but is appropriate for everyone is what they're going for. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I was thinking about it, I don't really know who the show's actually targeted at, because it's sort of about a family, but it's also a little bit more mature, but it's not super mature. Yeah.
Yeah. And Apple TV has broadcasted this as one of their tentpole shows to start with, mostly because they don't have a lot of stuff, but so probably is centered at a wide range of audience. But yeah, I've also really enjoyed Central Park in this season. It's just been really fun watching this show for the past, I guess, 10 weeks or 9 weeks, because they had the first two together. And it's, the big draw to me of this is it being a musical. If you're not familiar too much, this is a full musical show. There were 46 songs in the 10 episodes, in the first season, which, and that, it's unique. I don't think we've ever talked about a full musical series before. There've been movies. Of course, Steven Universe, one of our main shows that we talked about, had a lot of songs, but definitely not this show's centered on its songs. And
there's at least 4 songs every episode.
Yeah, and they haven't backed off of that, which I've been happy with. That's definitely the main draw to me. I wasn't really familiar with Bob's Burgers or too much before this, although like Josh Gad and Frozen and stuff. And then a lot of these actors are from Hamilton and from various things that we've seen. But I've really, the main thing is I have really enjoyed the music, and the songs go up immediately on Spotify, and then you can listen to them a bunch of times after the episode airs. I think that's been great. I think this is a season that started off like as like a unique, interesting show, and then really like hit its stride halfway through, I would say. I think like once you get to the halfway point of the season, we start to get some actually good and potentially very good episodes kind of to close things out in the season. So I've been happy where the show has gone. I don't know if the story is like too much of a draw, and they certainly haven't focused on it yet. The characters aren't like the most in depth, but I think are like appealing in each of their own right. The songs are great. I think the show is really well done, well animated, even though I don't really connect with the broader animation style, which we'll talk about at some point. I think the work that the artists on the show have done has shown through, in addition to definitely the composers and all the people behind the music of the show. So I don't know. I think Central Park was just a really fun experience. I'm glad it was weekly. I'm glad it's going to continue, at least for a little bit more, and had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, I thought, I didn't mention this, but like it's funny. Like it's a funny show. Like, you know, some comedies don't really hit for me, but like I thought like overall there's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it is funny. I think for me that's like kind of the secondary draw to the show.
Yes.
I feel like, you know, if you want there's different shows to watch if you're primarily here for the humor, but it is a funny show, and I think like that combined with the music is just a really like light, pleasant watching experience.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I talked about it, but for me, like the main topic with Central Park, and continuing to be spoiler free here, is the fact that it's a full musical series. And like Sarah, how about you? Do you agree with that that's kind of the main draw to the show? That's maybe the most notable thing about it.
I would say that's definitely what I enjoyed most about the show, and I think that's definitely what makes it so different, because we haven't seen anything like this before. Like, with it being like so many songs in an episode, and the episodes are sort of centered around the songs, and the songs are used to sort of drive the story and the characters. So yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, it's definitely unique for animation. It's also unique for live action. Like multiple original songs per episode. I don't think there's a lot of any TV shows that are doing this recently. There's probably like a handful in the past 10 years or something. But the question I think is like, how did it work? Just a entirely musical series in general? How did it work in animation? How did it work in like, I mean, adult comedy animation? Is there any like sacrificing in the quality of the songs because there's so many? So because you enjoyed it, Sarah, do you think that it overall came together well?
I would think so. I would say like there's definitely some songs that like really stand out, and others that are kind of like, okay, this was like maybe like a little bit more of like a fillery song. Like not all of them can be like super incredible when you have to write like, I don't know how many songs, like a bajillion. But like I don't think I think that the music added to the show. Like I think it was overall like a core component to the enjoyment. I thought that it really worked for me.
Yeah, I think it really worked too. I mean, in terms of like is there a drop off? I mean, sure, some songs are going to be not as good as others. I think that's true of like Broadway musicals as well.
Yeah.
But for me, like, there's like, we're going to go through all the songs, not like all of them, but we're going to go through like 20 songs. Like, I think there's like 20 legitimately great songs out of the 46. That's like a pretty good rate, I think, of success. And then others aren't like bad. It's just, there's definitely some songs that are like, okay, we're going to put a song here to kind of fit what the story's doing of the episode. But I think that's good. I think it like, I don't think that, like, I do think that some of the songs do feel a little bit forced into the plot of the episode, in quotes forced, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think it's in service of this being a full musical. And I think that if you're just going to think of Central Park as kind of a proof of concept for like a musical animated series, I think this is like a big success.
Yeah.
I think like totally that you could have more shows than Central Park. I mean, this is like a great concept and characters for, I think, a musical series, but we could have way more, way different types of, in different, like, centered at kids, sent even more mature than this. I think you could have all sorts of musical animated series. I think animation is the perfect medium for this. It can work in live action too, but I think that they really explored the range of kind of realistically depicting the characters just singing to kind of going more abstract. And I think that you can explore all those different types of things in animation, of course. Yeah, but even beyond just a proof of concept, which I think is like definitely a success, and we should see more of these types of shows. I think Central Park it feels like something that's more than just, hey, this is a musical series, isn't that fun? And I think that's a big question, is like, of course, if you're like a fan of musicals, or even if you're just like intrigued by seeing something different with musicals, you might be like, you might check this out, even if that's all it is, if that's its main draw. But I do think the show gets there with kind of the story that it's telling, its characters, the kind of the themes. I think like there's enough there. It's not the most in-depth characters or themes or story or anything, but I really think it does kind of come together throughout the season to being like a really good show on its own right.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the characters are all like really genuine, and you do like, as much as they're not like super, super deep, there's still like a lot of, you know, focus on them and what's important to them and what they care about and their different sort of stories. And it's sort of introduced really well, I think, in the first episode, which we'll get to that song, which I'm thinking of. And, you know, I think that it really, the music sort of serves the story, but like the story in itself is a fun one.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the story. I don't think the story ends up being a big focus of the season, and the season does not particularly wrap up the story, and we'll talk about maybe why that is. So I don't think like if you're looking for a story-driven show, you're going to be super happy with right. What happens here. But they just take a broad concept and kind of have interesting individual episodes based on that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean by the story is not necessarily like it's like really interesting narratively what they're doing, but more just that, like, you know, every character sort of has their own goals that they're working towards, and so like, I think that you connect to them because the characters are so genuine. That's sort of what I mean by the story.
Yeah, I think so. And some characters maybe one note, but an enjoyable one note that we keep hitting on. I think that's fun, and it works in this type of show. But just the overall question of like, you know, like how did this, we saw 10 whole episodes, 10 full musical episodes here. Like, I think it's a huge success. I think there's like almost every episode has like at least one great song in it. Some episodes have multiple, and it comes together in, I mean, I guess we won't say that in terms of spoilers, but you know, like there's some level of like awareness of all the songs that are building up throughout the season and stuff. So
like it is sort of like a musical in the sense that the whole season sort of has its themes that it's bringing together over the course of the season.
Yeah, and there's like reprises and like a musical. There's reprises over the credits at various points and stuff. Like, you know, definitely if you like musicals at all, should check this show out. And I think even if you're intrigued by that, should check it out.
Yeah, if you hate music, if you hate people breaking into song, this probably isn't the show for you. So I guess there's that.
Yeah, which is, I think some people do feel that way.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, just the fact that like if you're gonna like, I don't like seeing too many plays because a lot of them are musical, but like there's not a lot of shows like this. So I feel like if you're watching a lot of TV shows, this is like a nice change of pace, even if you're not as into musicals. So I think we want to get into the songs more, keeping on the how does it work as a musical series topic, but that means we'll get into spoilers. Sarah, any last spoiler-free comments on Central Park?
Nope. Let's get to the songs.
Okay, so we're going to get into spoilers for all of season 1 of Central Park here. Nothing huge, honestly, if you've not seen the show, but if you want to go in fresh, check out Central Park, then come back and listen. Spoilers from this point on in the podcast. Okay, so Central Park features, and we could have talked about this honestly in spoiler free because it's kind of a draw, but it features kind of a few main composers and then a lot of like guest artists who write songs for the show, which I think is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Our main composers are Kate Anderson and Elisa Samsel, who were in the Olaf's Frozen Adventure short. I haven't seen it actually, but
I actually haven't seen it either, which is maybe blasphemous as a Frozen fan.
That is kind of blasphemous. Yeah, you got to check it out now. But
I mean, now that I know how great Kate and Elisa are, I probably will, even though I haven't heard the best reviews of it.
Yeah, and then also Brent Knopf writes a lot of songs as well. And then there's specific guest artists such as Sarah Bareilles, Alan Menken writes a song, Darren Criss. We get a Fiona Apple song, which is exciting in the last episode. So a lot of kind of big names come in to write a song or two, and I think that's fun. But just in going back to like the main composers, though, I think Kate and Elisa, it's hard not to think that they're paramount reasons why the show has been so successful. I feel like they're credited with so many really great songs throughout the season. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I'm so impressed by all of those super quality bops that they were able to put out for the show.
Okay. Do they slap the bops? Is that
yes?
Okay. They just compose like a wide range of genre of songs as well. That's another feature of Central Park, is you get a lot of different genres of songs, which I think is really impressive, and they're behind a lot of them. From kind of like more pop to rock based songs to more hip hop songs. I think it's a really appealing array of music that is featured in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's go and talk about some of our favorites here. We can go in chronological order. This is intended to be the main part of the podcast, so we'll see how long we spend going through all of the songs. And there's other great parts of the show too. And when we're talking about the songs, I just want to emphasize, I think the music itself is great, and I really want to credit the artists behind the show for figuring out like really interesting ways to accompany the songs they're playing, and then also just the artists like on the normal animation in the show and storyboarding that's not part of musicals. It feels integrated really well into the songs and to the animation behind the songs. Like I feel like all of the work on visually on the show really enables, I think, the songs to pop in a major way.
Yeah, I'm thinking though, like, would it make more sense to talk about the characters first so that we could sort of introduce them before we get to the songs?
Yeah, I think some of these characters are going to come up as we go along here. So we can go through the characters, okay, and then we can dive in more, because when we get to certain like Helen songs, we're going to talk about Helen. So
right, so we got to know how much we love Helen.
That's fair. Okay, well, spoilers on your Helen thoughts. Yeah, so I think we're going to start off here with Owen Tillerman. The Tillermans are the family that live in a castle that they keep Central Park.
He's the park manager.
The park manager, yeah, and they're all just his family. I would say I feel like it's not super obvious at first that Owen is the main character, but I think throughout the season he definitely starts to be the one that shines through.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
I would say yes. Like, I do think there is like a slight more focus on it, but I don't think he's like more heavily important than the rest of them. Like, I don't think he's like over the top, like emphasized as the main character. Like, I don't think so, but I think that, because his story kind of, well, also I would say Paige's story like comes to sort of completion in the final episode. I think maybe that's sort of where the idea of like him being a little bit more central comes from.
Yeah, I mean, he's the star of the last action scene. I think that's a big part. I think Molly and Owen to me pop like as it feels like they get the most focus. I mean, Paige and Cole as well, but I think the show likes those characters. But we have Leslie Odom Jr. as Owen, Leslie from Hamilton, Aaron Burr, and so it's a great showing of him seeing his incredible performance as Aaron on on Disney Plus Hamilton version that came out. And this is a big draw, I think, to to watching the show is you get to see Leslie Odom Jr. and Daveed Diggs from Hamilton in another musical.
Although I haven't seen Hamilton yet, which is also blasphemous.
Yeah, at some point. It's very long. Probably Hamilton as long as no, that's probably not true. As the season, it's close. Actually, it's probably pretty close. But I think he's much more of a he's playing like a nerdy dad here in Owen. It's definitely a different performance than his Aaron Burr, but I think he's really incredible as Owen, just as generally as a voice actor, and then the songs, of course, he's really incredible as well.
I agree.
I think the main draw probably is seeing, for me personally, seeing Leslie Odom Jr. As kind of the main character of this. Yeah,
and like what I love about Owen, if we're getting into sort of the characters, is like he's like a very vulnerable character. Like he's he's the dad, and he's sort of, in sort of a stereotypical way, you might think like, oh, he has to be sort of like the strong leader of the family, but like he has those moments, but he also has a lot of moments of vulnerability and like struggle and softness, and like I love that we get to see that from Owen and get to see just like how all the things that he really cares about and the things that he struggles with and is insecure about.
Yeah, I love that. He's kind of like the anxious type character, but he still is like very capable, and we see his accomplishments, and we see him standing up for his family in the park. But we also get to kind of see some neuroses and some weird social interactions and stuff, as we do with kind of all these characters. Yeah, I think Owen's great, and he has some great songs we'll get to. We have Catherine Hahn as Paige. She has the whole reporter arc and reporting on Bitsy trying to buy the park.
Bitsy?
Bitsy. That's true. Bitsy. I guess that's part of why she's Bitsy, because it's a weird name. I think I'm familiar with Catherine Hahn from a lot of comedies, and had not heard her sing before this, and I think she's really great as Paige. I think Paige is great. I think the reporter stuff is here touch and go throughout the season. I like the episode when she's her mom stuff with Molly, the chess episode. I think maybe Paige a little bit underdeveloped compared to, I don't know. I mean, honestly, they're all similar-ish in terms of the characterization, but I like to see even more from Paige in the next episodes.
Yeah, like I feel like we have Paige's story of she's trying to become a reporter. Well, she is a reporter, but she's trying to sort of write like more bigger stories than just like fluff pieces and stuff like that. And we kind of see her struggle with that. So they're trying to figure out the story of what's happening with the park and with Bitsy. And like, I think that's really great to show her sort of striving for that. I think that I would really love to see more from her. And in general, the thing that I really enjoyed about Owen and Paige in this show is sort of seeing their vulnerabilities as parents, and like, learning and figuring out how to be good parents and the struggles that go along the way with that. I think that's I think a really successful part of the show.
Yeah, that definitely makes me think of episode 9, where the kids want to go to the ghost tour, and they're like discussing in front of them whether they should. I think that's really fun, and getting they do kind of come across as like really sweet, good parents. Yeah, and then there's some great Paige songs we'll talk about. We have Titus Burgess as Cole, the youngest kid. We know Titus from Kimmy Schmidt, and he's also on 30 Rock. My take with, I think Titus is the most the most unrecognizable to a certain extent as his character. Like, he definitely sounds like Titus, but I forget because it's so different. Like, he's so much less ostentatious with this character.
Yeah, you know what? That totally feels like what my experience was. It's like when I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, it sounds like Titus, but then otherwise I just like forget.
I'm really impressed with him as a voice actor, as Cole. I mean, this is not a super character. There's a lot of depth to him, I would say, but like, I think he brings a lot to Cole, a lot of comedic chops to this character. I mean, I like Cole. He has a plot line with the dog, that is kind of more towards the beginning and end of the series, of the season. Other than that, he gets random stuff happening. That's
Yeah,
kind of it.
I think Cole is a funny and sweet character. I think Titus does a great job with his comedic timing with Cole. Um, and I think that, like, the storyline with the dog is really sweet and fun, and I think it's nice to see sort of like it's a little bit subversive to have a guy that's just like a young boy that just like really wants to play with his dog, and it's not like the most like masculine thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. That's true. And that's kind of his personality trait I mean, I don't know how I'd also describe Cole, honestly. I think Cole, to my point earlier that like Owen and Molly, I feel like I have a better sense of their character. I mean, all of these characters really have one thing. I mean, some more noticeably than others, like Helen is literally one thing. But yeah, I could see more Cole, maybe Cole tying more to some longer term plots that are happening. And then we have Kristen Bell as Molly. Of course, with Kristen Bell, we had controversy surrounding her as a white woman playing this black child, and we can get into this now, I guess, with her voicing that. So I think this is a very discouraging thing that we saw, and a big thing that makes a lot of people not want to check out the show to start with. I mean, of course, a lot of people's reaction to this news is going to be like, I don't get why this is a problem. Well, don't think of any difference between, I don't really have the patience to explain this a lot, but don't think of any difference between voice acting and acting. It's a whitewashed role if Kristen is playing this, this biracial black child. It's a whitewashed role. It's taking an opportunity away from a black actor. And it's just not, like really appropriately, to like have someone who can appropriately speak to the character's experiences, especially when Molly's kind of main attribute, other than her romance throughout the season, is, she draws comics and draws herself as a hero in her comics, that her superpower is her black hair.
Like her big bushy black hair is like something that gives her powers, and
which
like
is
that's
like wonderful and empowering. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, this white woman's voicing this character. This is incredibly like out of touch with what should be happening here.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the experience. It's like a pretty big turnoff to the show, and I don't understand. I mean, I understand because like white people just don't understand this is an issue or don't care. I mean, there's a quote from Lauren like only months ago where he's like, well, we started the show and we knew Kristen was going to be a major part of it, and then we decided to make the family biracial, and then we're like, oh, we have to cast her as the kid, as the daughter, and like just completely like not understanding that this shouldn't have happened. It's very very discouraging, not a good look. They have changed it now. We just got news yesterday. Emmy Raver Lampman will be playing Molly in season 2. Seems like this is like it's really exciting to see the casting. Although it's just like the most obvious fit, like how do you not cast her originally for this character? Like she was played Hamilton when it was played on Hamilton when it was touring. I guess she seems like she's comedic chops. Like it seems like just the perfect obvious person to cast for this. I have no idea how this did not happen originally. So that's good that we'll be seeing her in season 2 instead of Kristen Bell, who she was great this season. Like she's a great singer. I think she's that's the main aspect. I think she's a great actor as well. I never saw her as an integral component to Molly. I don't know if that makes sense. To me, those other actors we mentioned stand out more in terms of them embodying their characters. To me, it's more just like, oh, this is Kristen Bell and she's cool and she's a good singer. But excited to see Emmy in season 2. I'm definitely think that they recorded most of Molly's stuff already for season 2. So that's interesting that we're going to re-record it all. I'm glad that they're doing that, but they definitely did all the music already, I'm pretty sure. I think like it's easier to watch now that this has been at least something that's acknowledged and addressed.
Yeah, I agree. I Definitely, it's like I sort of was definitely feeling like very torn as I was starting the show and the first few weeks, where it's like, I really do love Kristen Bell, and she is a really great actress and singer, but like she's completely inappropriate for this role as in terms of playing a biracial young character. And so it's really just like disappointing to see like how ignorant these creators can be and how they need to be like basically forced to make this change only because of what's sort of happening in our broader society, where we're actually like really openly talking about racism. And so once they announced that she was going to be replaced by a Black or biracial character, like I was definitely very relieved, because it makes it a lot easier to like feel like I don't want to be supporting a show that's casting inappropriately in this way. And so I think, feeling like I can support, I definitely feel like I can support the show more and watch it more easily now that they've made this change. But again, like I agree with Dylan in that like she does do a really great job as Molly, and I think she's funny too. But I do think that like I don't think that her character needs to be Kristen Bell in order to be the character. And I think it, like, we see this a lot in this kind of show where they hire the people that they want to hire and they don't really think about the consequences of that. And I think it's really frustrating to see that kind of thing happen. But I think that, they definitely, for the rest of the cast, they did a really great job. But this one was definitely a missed shot.
Yeah. I think so. And it took a large cultural reckoning in order to change these animation castings. Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's super frustrating.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, Sarah, I think that it should be noted, despite this, that the show does feature pretty incredible Black actors as a lot of the lead characters. And I think that is a big positive, social component of what the show is doing, seeing Leslie and Titus and David in these main roles, and just in like singing, and it's really it is progressive that it's a biracial family that it's centering on, even if they didn't execute on it in that. I mean, I do think like I don't know how many of these writers are Black. I don't think the creators are. I'm not sure any I don't think this like stands out as like a particularly, I mean, this is like not this is not really our place to talk about, but like, I don't think there's anything particularly culturally Black about anything that's happening except for like really Molly's comic, I think is the big thing that stands out to me.
And I think like it would be really interesting to see, the fact that these characters are Black or biracial, like integrated more into the show. Because if you just have Black characters but don't like write from that perspective, and like I'm not saying I can't speak for who the writers are and what they're writing from, but like having that sort of not be a part of the show also kind of like whitewashes a bit their characters. Not that I can speak completely to that because I am white, but that's sort of what I was feeling about how they've done this show.
Yeah, I think it should be more. It needs to be more integrated into the show. I mean, just think about like what changes if this is just a white family. Is there almost anything that changes? Like about the characters or about the story that's happening? Probably not the most genuine experience, but I think other people can definitely speak more to that. I mean, Kristen. Like the main thing I would talk about is how incredible she is in some of these songs. So we can get to that when we talk about the songs. We also have Daveed Diggs as Helen. Love Daveed Diggs in Hamilton in this role. Helen is my favorite character. I will say she has one attribute. Her attribute is she wants to supplant the dog in the line of succession for Bitsy. And everything she does is based on that one thing. And I think that's kind of hilarious that she never gets any more depth than that.
Yeah, and like it would be really nice to get a little bit more from Helen. Like, what's her backstory? Like, how did she get into this, and like why is this so important to her? But like, she wants to, because she knows that Bitsy's getting old and is hoping to sort of take over Bitsy's riches, but the dog is in the way.
Yeah.
But I think it was really fun, all of the ways that we saw that come to play in this season. So like, I didn't really mind that we didn't get a lot of depth.
They're like, let's explore that in as many ways as we can. Yeah. I think it's hilarious that Daveed Diggs is just playing a Karen. Like that's, I know it's an insult to Helen, who we stan, but I mean, she kind of like, and she's not like in power in any way. So I think that's maybe not the most fitting attribute, but as like a middle-aged white woman, I think it's like hilarious, like casting. It's a great showcase of Daveed Diggs in some of these songs. So I'm excited to talk about that. We can talk about that in tandem with Stanley Tucci as Bitsy Brandenham. Another like pretty funny casting, I would say. Stanley Tucci playing this old woman. Bitsy, I think there's more characterization than Bitsy than you would expect, probably. We get to see her dynamic with her family in the season. We get to see all these different ways in which she is like both wielding her power and also just like not, I don't know, like still in certain ways like affected by her being a woman and stuff, and her role in her family and stuff like that. I don't know, is Bitsy the most developed character on the show? Is there a argument for that?
It's possible. We definitely do get a lot of different components to Bitsy.
Yeah. Do you like Bitsy?
I think Bitsy's fun. I definitely don't root for her and what she's trying to do, but I think she's a fun character.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Stanley Tucci is hilarious as Bitsy. This brings up the question, like, why are there two men voicing women in this show?
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of adult comedy, but I feel like this is a Lauren Bouchard thing because he did this a lot in Bob's Burgers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That checks out as a Lauren Bouchard thing. I think here specifically, I mean, vaguely, you don't want, men taking away women's parts in shows. I think I would not ascribe this to Daveed Diggs as Helen, which gets another incredible black actor on the show. But I haven't really seen any discourse about this being bad in terms of this application. This seems like a pretty narrow. Like there's two characters. I mean, you could have an old woman voicing Bitsy instead of Stanley Tucci. I think that would be fair if you want to say that. I mean, I think Stanley Tucci is certainly very funny as Bitsy. Yeah, it's more just my reaction is more just like, hey, that's weird. That's more my reaction.
Yeah, like I think I'm a little bit used to it after having watched Bob's Burgers, because I think when I first saw that, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting these like characters to be voiced by men, and so I think it's kind of more, I'm more accustomed to it now. But yeah, I can't really speak to whether that's like problematic or not, but you could see it that way. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think you definitely could see it. But, I think considering there's the Kristen Bell casting, there's certainly bigger fish to fry first. We'll see if we get to Stanley Tucci next. I don't think so, but I think they're both like really, really hilarious as these characters and have some great songs, but there's some great Bitsy songs. We've talked a lot about how these Lauren Bouchard aspects make their way into the show, so we can talk about this other major criticism I have of the show now. We stiid we're going to talk about the songs, that's going to be the last thing we're going to talk about.
We do have one more character, though.
We'll get back to it.
Okay, we'll come back.
But in terms of, like, I didn't know that was a aspect of Lauren's style, so I think that brings up the animation style that I mentioned, which is that the characters basically are straight-faced the entire time that they're there. They kind of emote a little bit, but basically these characters are non-emotive, and this is definitely what happens on Bob's Burgers, correct?
Yeah.
And it seemed there's another Lauren Bouchard show got announced, and it's also going to be on that show. I really don't like this. I think that the show is successful in spite of this style. I understand that it's funny. I'll say that. I think it is kind of funny that they are all straight-faced.
I feel like it's almost kind of like Muppets, where they're flat-faced, their mouth is like flat, and then it kind of opens up to speak.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know.
The characters are kind of Muppet-like. But I think it's probably successful in Bob's Burgers, but I think bringing it to this show was like a pretty big mistake because here's my argument. Musicals and music is inherently emotional. Like, music is all about feeling things listening to it. The show is biggest attribute is that it's a musical. So limiting the emotions that the characters can display while singing these very like emotional songs, in some cases it lends itself to comedy, but I mainly think you're limiting the audience's emotional engagement with what's happening on screen. This is very frustrating to me watching throughout the show. I know this is not going to change because they kind of made the style decision already. I wish that they went in a different direction early on. And I think Lauren should consider not default bringing this to every show he touches. But I don't know. Do you have the same reaction to that, Sarah? Different reaction?
I wouldn't say that the style particularly bothered me, but I think it's possible that if they'd gone with something different, it could have worked better.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think a lot of people are going to be like, I didn't really care one way or the other. Definitely irked me specifically, and I think like I want to say this is not a criticism of the artists who have to draw within the style that is outlined for them. And I think it's probably really limiting to work on a show like this, where you can only show the characters not displaying emotion. I don't know, like all these characters to a certain extent are very like paper thin in terms of their characterization. I think if they displayed more emotion, that might be different.
That's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Not a lot else to say about that. It's just a thing you have to accept with Central Park. Like what if there was like a Disney style full musical show? That would be fun too. I mean, it would probably not be a comedy, I guess. I think the style itself would lend itself more to what's going on. But we do have a last character. One of the creators, Josh Gad, plays Birdie, the weirdest character in the show. The Central Park busker, who is the narrator of the show. Josh Gad's great. He's really funny. This character, I would say I kind of have a love to hate relationship with Birdie. I don't know if this is what you're supposed to feel. Kind of don't like Birdie, but I think it's fun that I don't like him. I don't know. What you're probably less harsh on Birdie.
Yeah, I think he's fun. I think it's his way of doing things and trying to kind of, as we know is explored in the show, he's kind of trying to meddle a little bit and trying to help, and he can be kind of annoying. It's like, excuse me, Birdie, like you're kind of like bothering the people that are the Tillermans and everyone that's trying to get their stuff together. But overall, I thought that he was a fun part of the show. I do think it's clear that we had Josh Gad as Birdie because Josh is one of the creators and so wanted to be a part of the show. Like the one sort of potential criticism is that like, do we need this like white character to kind of like tell the story of a Black biracial family? Like that was sort of like, I don't know if I can give that criticism, but that's sort of something that came to my mind as I was watching.
I think that's a good point. So this narrator can be anyone. Why does it need to be a white guy? Yeah. I mean, and with Josh Gad, I think he's like, I think he's a certain style of singing that's kind of separate from the normal style song. So his songs are generally separate, I guess. And he doesn't have as many as the family and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's fun. They do an interesting thing in the season when they have him affecting the story with his omniscient narrator. That's like the most interesting narrative thing that happens all season. So I want to dive into that more later. But it's for the most part, my reaction to Birdie's usually go away. I want to see the other parts of the show that are happening.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like kind of aware of that. It's kind of aware that he's annoying.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I was concerned that he was going to be super annoying because I'm like, oh no. Like, I mean, I don't hate Olaf, but Olaf is a little bit annoying. You have to, that's what a lot of people
Olaf
think.
Is annoying in a great way. I love Olaf way more than Birdie.
Okay.
Probably because he's a cute snowman versus Birdie's this guy.
I love Olaf in Frozen, but I was like, do I want Olaf to be narrating this show? Like, I don't really know. But like, it doesn't feel like it's Olaf to me. when I'm watching it.
The gag of Olaf recapping the events of Frozen 1 to the characters in Frozen 2 was great, but it was also only a minute of the show. And that's expanded into the framing device for this whole show. Okay, we'll come back to Birdie to talk about a few aspects. Let's go through the songs now.
Yeah,
we talked about
most of the characters now.
I mean, I think that some of the discussion would happen anyway. Episodes 1 and 2, a lot of really notable songs to start off with. There's Central in My Heart, the opening number.
That being the sort of like the theme of the show that opens it up.
Yeah. I think then there's like a whole really intricately animated sequence surrounding this. I think it's a great opening to the show. We have, I would say, kind of the, Central in My Heart. Also, I think this is as an argument to be kind of the main theme of the show in a way. Own It, the song from the first 2 episodes, where we see kind of all the characters outline their motivations to start the season. Both of these songs written by Kate and Elisa. Own It's great. I think it started as one of the best songs in the show and has remained that way. That'd be in my top songs.
Yeah, I agree. I love Own It. It's so fun. It does a really great job of going through the characters without it being like, this character does this and this character does, like, it's an exciting way to introduce the show, and it's super catchy. Love it. Yeah,
I love Owen's parts of Own It. Yeah, definitely good showcase for Owen. I'll be biased towards Owen in a lot of these songs, but I think he's great in Own It. Maybe my favorite. I would have said this would be my favorite song for sure of the season until there've been a few really good contenders at the end. But Weirdos Make Great Superheroes is Molly's tentpole song here, and written by Sarah Bareilles, who we love. And this is just an incredible song. Weirdos Make Great Superheroes.
It's a really wonderful song.
It's got a great message, only slightly compounded by Kristen Bell singing it as the wrong character.
I think that was like part of my struggle to enjoy some of like the Molly songs is like, it shouldn't be Kristen Bell, and I can hear Kristen Bell, and I don't know, but I also really like the song. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and this is like the benefit you get from Kristen Bell in this wrong casting is she's so incredible in this song and a few others. But I also want to hear the new Molly version of this. Maybe that'll happen at some point. But love this song, the animation behind it. I want to say I didn't mention this in the beginning. We're an animation podcast. I love that Central Park, despite having, to me, like pretty bland and unappealing default animation style, although it's kind of like storyboarded and animated in great ways and is still like good looking. It goes into these other animation styles throughout. Which I'm a big fan of. This show, I think, probably has a huge budget with it being a Big Apple show. And I think they use it to great effect with different animation styles. The best one of which is Molly's comic style, which it comes up early on in the show. I was really impressed with that. I was like, wow, this looks really good. It's really fluid. And it's a great contrast with the show's normal style. It's a big part of Weirdos Make Great Superheroes. And then it does fall off a little bit. I think it was a while before it comes back in the finale, but I was so excited to see it as part of the climactic finale. I love the comic style. I think they did use it a lot. I think they should use it even more in future episodes.
Yeah, it's great. And it's great, like as much as it's, the whole Kristen Bell thing, like having Molly's superpower be her hair and, her being so confident in herself and her writing and wanting to, just be herself and be a superhero. It's inspiring and I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. We have Do It While We Can is kind of the roller skating song at the end of the second episode. Written by Brenda Knopf, and noting that he's also doing a lot of these. I think that's a really good song in a different style from a lot of the other music.
It's a fun song.
Episode 3, we got Mama's Got This, I would say is Paige's tentpole song here. This, I think initially I'm like, this is a good song, but the more I listen to it, honestly, it's really fun and good. Like, there's a lot of like just funny parts to this song. It's just a very funny song.
Yeah, it's like she like speaks Polish for part of the song.
There's a part of the song where is mom speaking Polish? Okie doke. I love that part. Like the okie doke.
Like, it's very silly, but also super fun, and it's just like a great sort of little family song where Paige is like just going through New York on her journey, but her kids are supporting her. It's a super fun song.
Yeah, really love that. Next one I had noted. Do you have any from episode 4, Garbage Ballet? I think is a notable one. Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the songs in this episode.
I didn't have any noted, but like I said, I think it hits its stride in about 5 and 6. I would say.
Yeah.
I like Manager to Manager. It's a good Owen song too.
It's funny.
Yeah. Episode 5, we get spoiler alert to start, where we get Birdie talking about, not being able to. I guess he does spoil them in this episode, and then it's followed up on next episode.
Yeah. So the point is that he's singing about like spoiler. I can't spoil the plot.
And then he does.
And then he spoils.
Yeah. Yeah, we get Alan Menken as the writing this song. I think it feels like Alan Menken's song. And then I think one of the best songs of the show, episode 5, we have If There's a Will, our Helen David song. Very probably the closest Hamilton feeling song maybe of the show.
It's a great song.
This is I love this song for Helen. Love Helen rapping in the visuals and the song itself. This is definitely one of my top ones.
Yeah, the thing about Helen is that I like she wants Bitsy's dog Champagne to die in some way, which is very upsetting as someone who loves dogs. So like I'm not even angry because Helen is just so great at singing about it.
The thing is, Helen wants that, but she's not. She could just kill the dog.
She could. Like, she's not actively murderous.
It's more just
she just kind of desires it.
Her lamenting her being supplanted in this rich woman's hierarchy. Yeah, I think it comes across as kind of like a working class perspective, honestly, against the rich, more, which I think is appealing. Episode 6, could be my favorite episode because we get, the new busker introduced. And, I was so excited that Birdie might be gone from the show. I didn't really believe it, but I'm buying into this plot. And he's like, oh man, he's so much better. he's so much more professional. We have First Class Hands written by Darren Criss. And the song's really fun.
I love the song.
Just in general, the new busker, I think is voiced by Andrew Rannells. I think is a really great side character.
Yeah, and the dynamic with him and Birdie is so great, especially this one in the next song.
They understand how good it is, and it's just in all the songs in the episode. Too Close. This, I don't know if I've told you, this is also one of my favorite songs. This is maybe one of
my favorite songs.
Yay! I've been listening to this so much more, and there's just so much great depth in telling these little stories that they're telling in this, and the disconnect between the hilarious disconnect between their perspectives. Yeah,
that boy is probably a vegan. I'm sure you love that line.
I was on edge for being outraged by the anti-veganness, but it wasn't really that.
I think they're being sympathetic to the vegans that don't have a lot of food options, which we can both relate to on our food limitations.
That boy and his piggy, that. No, this song's so funny. I think this is my favorite Birdie song.
The harmonies in the song are just incredible for it being such a weird song.
Yeah, it's great. And then this episode has I'm gonna 6 and let's see if we're encountering let's see if we can remember these songs off the top of our head without singing them or playing them. Show Up is another one of my favorites. This is what's the highlight? I always forget what's the highlight of Show Up, Sarah.
Show Up is Paige and Molly, and then that.
It's the other Paige song. It's the
it's like that one and Mama's Got This are both really great.
They're similar, I think, in a certain way. But yeah, it has the daughter of the Russian guy. Yeah.
It's really fun. Like I haven't listened to a lot of Hamilton songs, but it feels kind of like a Hamilton song. And you have like the three ladies harmonizing.
Yeah, definitely. We got so this is the three women. So that is similar to a Hamilton thing. There's this is a song where the story advances and stuff too. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Episode 7, we got Can We Do Today Again? I think towards the end of the show we get into more rock songs, more rock heavy songs.
Yeah, I would agree.
This is the start of that. I think this is a great song. It's kind of all the characters, I think, talking about their days. Yeah.
This one was the one where Molly is doing the chess thing and Cole is doing the rats nuts thing,
the squirrels thing. Yeah.
The squirrels, yeah. There's the other episode's rats. I forget. They're all small animals.
It's true. There's a rats episode. I like the squirrel stuff. I think that's one of Cole's better plot lines. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Anyway, like Owen had kind of messed up with Cole, and Cole wanted to go off with his friend because he wasn't having a good time with his dad, and then Molly Paige thought she was doing a really great job with Molly because Molly was like kicking butt at chess.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of comparing they're feeling like Owen's feeling a failure, Paige is feeling like she totally won the day, and they want to do today again for different reasons.
Yeah, I love it. It's a fun song. Episode 8, probably I would say is my favorite episode of Central Park.
Yeah, I think we have similar opinions on this show, so yeah, I would agree.
I think it arguably has the best song and has 3 really good songs in it.
Yes.
And it was just, I feel like they got into smaller storytelling towards the end. Like, this is just a very specific episode. Like, they're not going for a lot here.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm a little frustrated that they didn't, advance the plot. I think there's arguments about that. Like, the finale we'll get to, it doesn't conclude anything. It kind of just like, they get a win. That's kind of the finale.
It kind of wraps things up very quickly.
They quickly wrap up that they have a win, and knowing, I will say, production-wise, the show got greenlit for 26 episodes. You would think that would be 2 seasons of 13, but then at some point they decided to just do 10 episodes for the first season, and the finale is in the production order episode 11, so we didn't even see episode 10 yet. Although I don't think that's like we missed an episode. I think they wrote that they knew and they wrote the last episode as a finale, but it might have been rushed. But there's 10, 12 and 13, which were kind of part of the first production run, and those are pushed to season 2. So I don't know. There's weird production circumstances probably surrounding why this thing gets wrapped up pretty quickly at the end. But I'm interested to see, will the plot lines still be basically the same for the second season? Like, because I think they find a lot of success within just the time between Bitsy like making a big push. Bitsy trying to make these smaller pushes, but not actually buying the park yet. I think there's a lot of success there. Like, I kind of want it to stay here, but it's certainly the story does not advance like much at the end of the season.
Yeah,
Helen still wants to off the dog. Bitsy's doing the same stuff, I feel like. As she takes in loss, we'll see if she still's the mayor on her side, stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see them doing something like with Bitsy still trying the part, but in like a maybe different way.
Yeah, I think they should just do similar variations. I mean, we'll see. I would be interested if they did more heavily serialized storytelling, but I feel like the back half of the season is what I want to see from the show. So whatever facilitates that. So I mean, episode 8, yeah, like less going on. We have I feel like 3 different types of songs. We have "I'm in a Perfect Relationship," which is written by Meghan Trainor. This epic love ballad between like comedically epic love ballad between Molly and her new boyfriend. I don't even remember his name.
Brendan. I know his name is Brendan.
It's Brendan something. Yeah. His name is Brendan something.
Like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing you know about him is he likes to text. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it's a great song. I really love this. We have Toscano, which is a great Helen song.
Yeah.
About her realizing she should have the dog bite. Yeah, bite.
Yeah,
Bitsy.
it's Toscano. This one sucks. Get a new one.
Yeah, I think it's one of the funniest songs. And then Imperfectly Perfect, I think there's an argument this is the best song of the show. It's definitely one of my top ones.
It's a really, really great song, and it's got the whole family harmonizing with each other and talking just about how, like, you know, it doesn't matter that your boyfriend is the son or great nephew of Bitsy. He's related to Bitsy in some way. Like, you know, it's okay that your relationship isn't perfect, which, you know, contrasts with like Molly and Brendan singing about how perfect the relationship is. It's super wholesome.
Yeah, I love it. This is one I've been listening to a lot.
And it's all about pizza, and so I just get
pizza metaphor
in my head, and I just want pizza.
Yeah, it makes you hungry. That's the downside. The episode 9, I did not account for this. This is the most rock, like, I think it's like a Blink-182 song. I don't, what?
Alternative rock,
punk rock. I don't know my music designations that
well. I don't.
This is the song the family epically singing in the rain at night. Love they start to get into night animation towards the end of the season. I think it's a really, really good looking. I did not account for this.
It's a good song.
This and Imperfectly Perfect I've been listening to a lot towards the end of the season. Then considering the screen cap either from I did not account for this, them singing at night, there's like a four panel of the family. Or there's a really obvious screen cap from the finale of the family. It's epically looking into the distance. So we'll see which works better. If it's singing is representative of the show, they need to be singing if it's the representative of the musical series. And then the finale, we just got notable Fiona Apple song, New York Doesn't Like Your Face. A great Bitsy and the new publicity person that they hire. It's a funny, like, very different sounding song too, I think, for the show.
It's a funny song.
I like it. And then the epic finale, Die Trying. The finale, I was really liking a lot of the late episodes. The finale, I was like, okay, this is fine, but I wasn't as into it as like the pizza episode. But then we really get there, I feel like, in the last few minutes.
Like, I 100% agree. Like, I think it was kind of, the fish thing was like, okay. And then we had like the other Bitsy's plan to bring in the fish guy. Like, I was just kind of like, man, this is okay. It's all right. But then we have the moment where they're like all on the boat at night going up to get the fish, and they have the song and they have the different animation, and it's just incredible. I was just so into it, and it made the whole finale for me.
It makes the whole finale. I agree. I think it's the best scene of the show. Just the die trying. The animation is the best. It goes back and forth between Molly's new character based on her dad, which is great. And in the comic style, and then just probably their best foot forward in terms of their normal animation in Owen trying to catch the fish, and then the montage that follows. And then the song itself is great, and it is I believe it is trying to tie together all the incorporating elements from all of the previous songs we've talked about.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them. Some of them are obvious. There's a really obvious part with Weirdos Make Great Superheroes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have...
There's a really obvious part with Mama's Got This.
Yeah, we have...
Is there an Own It part? I thought I heard Own It at some point.
Own It.
Yeah, okay. Is there a Central in My Heart part to it?
Yes. Towards the end, we get back. It's sort of a reprise of Central in My Heart.
Okay. Are there other ones we incorporate?
Nothing else that immediately stuck out to me. I might have to re-listen a few more times, but
yeah, at some point it felt like every verse was changing to kind of be a different song, but I'm not even sure. Yeah, this is an incredible song to end the show.
Yeah,
the season. Yeah, I think this is a finale, at least in the last scene. Go all out in this last scene. I also think the rest of the episode is kind of a finale. Each character really has a spotlight. There's a part they tie back to Cole and the dog. I think that's a sign it's the finale. But we definitely don't go in crazy places with the plot.
No, it's like, oh, now they caught the fish. They exposed Bitsy. And
we'll see, I guess. I don't think anything's going to change that much exposing Bitsy. It's just she's unpopular again.
Yeah, she now has to win people over, I guess.
She probably still controls the mayor if she just pays him again, right? The mayor, we get the mayor voiced by John H. Benjamin. I always forget.
From Bob's Burgers.
Yes, and Archer, of course. And he's great. Interesting character for him. But we don't see a ton of the mayor.
No.
Yeah. Any other songs, Sarah, you want to highlight?
I wanted to give a very brief honorable mention to the song "Poops I'll Pick Up" from episode 1. It's just
as
like
a dog owner, is it relatable?
As a dog owner, it's highly relatable, and it's like just a very silly song between Owen and Cole. Cole singing about how much he wants the dog, and he's stolen the dog, and Owen's like, "You can't keep this dog. We're gonna go to doggy jail." It's just super funny, and it plays after I listen to Own It, and because I've listened to Own It so many times, I just keep listening.
Yeah, it's the next one that plays after Own It. I agree that.
I just really like it, and I needed to give it an honorable mention here.
Okay, I'll give a last honorable mention to "Make 'Em Pay" from the first 2 episodes, which is the tentpole Bitsy song from the beginning. I think that's a funny Bitsy song. Yeah. Okay. And there's other good ones too. I didn't even talk about. Honestly,
yeah,
so.
I mean, like I definitely don't think that the ones we talked about were exclusive of like all the songs that were good, but I think yeah.
Yeah, that's like such a large amount of great songs.
Yeah, we talked a long time about the songs.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked about. The only thing I have here to circle back to is the spoiler device. We talked about it with the new narrator coming in, but just the notion that there's a narrator and then they just decide he can affect the plot, and then he does. To me, it's a little frustrating. Like, the characters didn't actually take any action to learn of Bitsy's involvement. Like, they might have anyway because of the coincidence of Molly's boyfriend being related and stuff.
I think that it ended up revealing itself with Brendan coming over and saying, "Oh yeah, Bitsy wants to get the park."
Yeah, but this was a weird, shocking moment in the middle of the season that they did this 2-episode arc of the narrator affecting the plot. Of course, it begs questions like, where are these narrators coming from?
Right.
Like,
how are they just so like, and like does Birdie just know everything because he just like peeps in people's windows all day? Like, it kind of seems that way. There's so many shots of him just like his head just poking into the window of the Tillerman's house.
Yeah, how does he know these things? Does he just innately know? Is it because he spies on everyone and is from the future? How do
you become narrator?
I think this has to confirm that this is all a simulation, I would say. I think at the very least, this is... either they're gods or this is some sort of video game and they're narrating based on it, right? Like, can't just know everything.
There could be some kind of fantastical element to it.
They could just be like, I mean, maybe we don't know that he knows everything. I guess he just maybe like has seen Bitsy and then
he probably just spied on Bitsy doing stuff, spied on everyone else.
That's a not exciting way that
I
don't want them to explain it though.
It's like a video game.
It's all a simulation, as is life. But no, it's if either I want them to go crazy all out with like weird abstract stuff with the narrators, or just never explain it. Like those are the 2 options.
Yeah, I don't want them to like. I don't know if I really want them to explain it. I think it's just fun the way it is, without it making a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was fun and frustrating and notable. I don't know. It was one of the things really I remember more.
You don't have a lot of shows that there's like a narrator that's like involved in the story. And he also like shows up and like talks to...
He's also just a person that's there that Owen knows, and he's like worked his way as a side character that Owen knows in the show. So I do think they're kind of going somewhere with that. Like, I
mean, there is too close. Though. He's too close to the family. He cares
too close. That's the most important song in the season. I think at some point Owen's going to be like, "What? Wait, what's going on here?" Like, I think Owen's going to kind of figure out that something's off. Like, I think that's the next step to go with this.
Yeah.
And he's going to like hunt down Birdie. Like, he's.
What are you doing?
He's gonna have an investigation into Birdie, and maybe he learns too much. Like he sees the code behind the simulation. I'm telling you, I think that's where it's going. Okay.
Okay.
Birdie's an alien. That's the
no.
Okay. But yeah, no. The point being that like everything about the story is just very conventional. I mean, the fact that Helen wants to take the place of the dog in the hierarchy, I think is funny, but it's all like pretty conventional, except for this narrator affecting the plot of the show is something unique about it, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Like speaking other to like conventional things about the show is, we have like only heterosexual couples and love interest in the show.
Yeah. We talk a lot about queer representation on the podcast. Obviously, nothing really going here in terms of that. Yeah.
Which is disappointing because, like, what are they really limited by? Like, it's Apple TV. Like, it's not like a network show.
Yeah, they totally could do. We'll probably see some side characters at some point.
Yeah, it's just like frustrating. Where it's like, if it could be gay, why not? Like, there's no reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of romance going on, but
well, we have Molly and Brendan, which I mean, they kind of. They have their like.
They're kind of purposefully playing into like
the
boy and girl crushes of young kids. Like I think that they're you could argue that, but we also could not do that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, when I very first watched the first episode, and like Cole was like, thinking about wanting something, and I was like, oh, maybe he's crushing on another little guy, and no, it's the dog, which I mean, it's very funny, but I was disappointed. I was like, because we have Titus, who's played queer characters, and I think it would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I think Cole, they're probably going for he's a little kid, but if the show like takes time, if the time passes in the show, we could do a thing with Cole. Eventually liking a boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other topics, Sarah?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about here. So any final thoughts on Central Park?
I would say it's just a very, very fun show with a lot of great music, as we went over. The characters are fun, and yeah, it's been enjoyable as much as there are the sort of criticisms and problematic elements that have sort of fixed and not fixed it themselves. So I think that like there's a lot of opportunity for them to do something really great in season 2, especially with the new Molly voice actor. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's more to come. I'm excited to hear like when they come up with season 2 and there's just more great music. Like I'm gonna be enjoying these songs for a long time, but I'm also just like, give me more.
More already, yeah. Okay, we could do it. No, yeah, it was so much fun. I think I love that the show is weekly. Probably my favorite weekly show in a while, just because you get time to listen to the songs from the episode.
True.
I hope they keep that. But it's like it's not like plot wise you need time to speculate or anything. It's just this is just like a fun thing to have every Friday. For a while.
Yeah, it's been a nice sort of weekly treat. There's another Central Park and more music to listen to.
Yeah, and I hope. I guess the last topic is the show's, display of New York, and the park itself, and I think it's a good like showing of Central Park and all the weird and diverse aspects of the location.
Like, I think it is still a little idealized. I mean, they do sort of bring things like, in that first episode, it's like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he's peeing in the flowers.
It's like a realistically idealized version.
Idealized, yeah.
I mean, I think the whole first song is about idealizing it. So I think that's kind of the perspective that it has. And yeah, we were watching this Comic-Con panel with Kate and Elisa, and it said Elisa used to like busk in Central Park, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she busted with her own violin, which is now the violin that's played in the show, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So yeah, I think the use of Central Park in New York itself has been really good. It's just been really fun. Very much looking forward to more episodes. Could be sooner than later. I'm not sure. I know that there are 16 more episodes at least to come. I don't see why. As long as Apple TV Plus is a thing, which who knows how long, but I don't see why they wouldn't just keep renewing the show. Why not? Apple has infinite money.
As long as they have the budget for like all of this stuff and the cast stays on, then yeah. Yeah.
Seems like people are into this. I mean, it seems like this is being a wrecking. I would say, despite the fact that it's maybe underwatched in our community and maybe in the animation community, it's like this is going to be one of the more watched shows that we've talked about, just because it's prominent placing on Apple TV Plus. It's like big names behind it and stuff. And probably a lot of people are going to watch the show. Looking forward to more Central Park. I'll keep listening to the songs, looking forward to more music from the show, looking forward to seeing where some of these things are going. Let us know what you thought of the first season of Central Park. You can comment on our website, overlyanimated.com, and our YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. All the links to get in contact with us are at overlyanimated.com. We have a Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Don't have a Central Park channel. You can talk about it in other shows, though. And consider supporting us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Connie. And thanks to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, Needle, and Phonician. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.